In 2005, a Tinya forum user named Zuo Yang posted a thread titled, "My Personal Experiences with Several So-Called Horror Games." After participating in a few supernatural games from urban legends, he mysteriously vanished from the forum. 3 years later, in 2008, Zuo Yang reappeared on Tinya and left a cryptic message. "You may choose to never believe in gods or spirits, but never disrespect or mock them." In today's video, we'll explore the biggest unsolved mystery that once caused a sensation on Tinya forum, the Zuo Yang incident. I'm Mr. Yao, and welcome to the Legend Yokai channel. Here, I explore famous yokai and urban legends. If you're into these topics, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos. Tinya forum was founded in 1999, a time when the internet didn't have short videos. For a long period, Tinya forum was considered the largest hub of information in China, attracting a wide variety of people to post and share their thoughts. It was similar in some ways to Japan's famous 2-channel forum, which I've mentioned in previous videos. In February 2004, a user named Zuo Yang joined Tinya forum. At that time, Tinya had a ghost stories section dedicated to terrifying tales about ghosts and urban legends. Zuo Yang quickly became a prominent and active member of the forum, frequently discussing supernatural stories and strange phenomena. His posts gained him a following of fans interested in his unique perspectives. On February 20th, 2005, Zuo Yang posted a thread titled, "My Personal Experiences with Several So-Called Horror Games." At the beginning of the post, he wrote, "The fact that I dare to play these games doesn't mean I'm particularly brave. It's just that I've always had a strong sense of curiosity since I was a child. If I see something interesting, I feel uncomfortable until I try it myself. I've played most of the popular horror games out there, all by myself. Those that require multiple people, I haven't tried. I can responsibly say that everything I'm about to share is true. If not, I am willing to bear any legal consequences." In that era, there was no way to live stream spiritual games through video. A post like this was more than enough to ignite everyone's curiosity. In the thread, Zuo Yang detailed his attempts at 5 different games. The first game Zuo Yang tried was peeling an apple at midnight. The rules were simple. At exactly midnight, turn off the lights, find a mirror, and peel an apple in front of it. The key was to keep the peel unbroken. It was said that doing so would reveal your past self in the mirror. That night, Zuo Yang was thrilled and prepared everything well in advance. He took the mirror from his mother's dressing table, set it up in his room, and waited for the clock to strike midnight. As soon as the time came, he got straight to work, focused entirely on peeling the apple. After painstakingly finishing 1 apple with trembling hands, nothing happened. Unwilling to give up, Zuo Yang went on to peel 5 or 6 more apples in a row. By the end, he had stared at the mirror so intently that it felt like he could see right through it. Yet his past self never appeared. Exhausted, he eventually collapsed into bed and fell asleep. The next morning, his mother found apple peels scattered all over the floor and the disassembled mirror. She thought Zuo Yang had been sleepwalking. The first part of Zuo Yang's post gave readers the impression that he wasn't exaggerating the game's effects. Instead, he came across as down-to-earth and even injected a bit of humor into his story. This tone made for a sharp contrast with the events that would follow. The second game involved performing a ritual at midnight at a dark, deserted crossroads. The instructions were to bring a bowl of white rice and stick 3 incense sticks into it. After letting the incense burn out completely, you were supposed to eat the rice. According to legend, The rice would absorb the yin energy of wandering spirits, and eating it would allow you to enter the spirit world. After conducting the experiment, Zuo Yang once again experienced nothing out of the ordinary. He mentioned that the most unpleasant part of the game was eating the rice mixed with incense ash. It tasted terrible. After finishing the ritual, he stayed at the crossroads for a while before heading home. Strangely, what was normally a 10-minute walk ended up taking him an entire hour that night. In the forum's comments section, some users speculated that Zuo Yang had fallen victim to a ghost wall, a supernatural phenomenon where one becomes lost or disoriented. Others dismissed it as a psychological effect. The third game Zuo Yang tried was summoning Bloody Mary. The steps were as follows. Enter a completely dark bathroom alone, without turning on the lights. Face the mirror and place a candle either between yourself and the mirror or on both sides of the mirror. Close your eyes, concentrate, and chant Bloody Mary 3 times. According to the legend, after performing this ritual, a horrific spirit might appear in the mirror, where you might only see its glowing red eyes. The mirror and walls could even start to bleed, and in the worst case, the spirit might pull you into the mirror. After trying this game, Zuo Yang claimed that the mirror indeed exhibited a mysterious change. The bathroom steam had condensed on the mirror. This explanation led to a burst of laughter from users in the comment section below. The fourth game Zuo Yang tried was a summoning ritual. It had to be performed on a moonlit midnight in a damp, dark alley. The player was to walk forward, following their own shadow, and with each step, chant their own name. As they walked, they would notice that the shadow on the ground suddenly split into 2, with one shadow being that of a ghost following behind. The ghost would ask for a favor in return for helping the player, but if it were a vengeful spirit, things could quickly spiral out of control. Zuo Yang mentioned that, since the game had to be played on a full moon night, he would have to wait until the next month to attempt it. He joked at the end of his post, saying that if he didn't post the results afterward, it might mean something unfortunate had happened, and he would need everyone to burn some paper money for him. He promised that his ghost would come to thank them in person if he didn't make it. Up until this point, the whole post had maintained a light-hearted atmosphere, and Zuo Yang himself didn't truly believe that these so-called spiritual games could really summon ghosts. However, everything changed with the last game when some unexpected events occurred. The fifth game was the famous four-corner game. The rules were as follows. At midnight, choose a pitch-black square room. In each of the 4 corners of the room, one person would stand, facing the corner. Once the game began, the person in one corner would move toward another corner and gently tap the person standing there. Then that person would start walking in the same direction toward the next corner. This continued until the last person reached an empty corner. That person would need to cough first, step over the corner, and keep walking until they saw the next person. After some time, you would notice that no one was coughing anymore, which meant that every corner was occupied, and there was one extra person always walking around. In other words, someone new had appeared in the room. The four-corner game is a very well-known spiritual game that originally came from Japan. The first time Zuo Yang tried the four-corner game, he invited 3 of his friends, Mr. Six, Wendy, and Cowie. That night, they had a few drinks, and around 1 a.m., they arrived at Mr. 660 square meter empty house. At first, everyone was laughing and not taking it seriously, but as soon as the lights were turned off, the atmosphere immediately became tense. The game went on for over 20 minutes without any strange occurrences. It wasn't until later when Wendy shouted, "Hey, where did one person go?" Everyone was confused and turned on the lights, only to find that Cowie was missing. It turned out he had rushed out to use the bathroom. The first attempt ended in failure. A few days later, Zuo Yang tried the four-corner game again. This time, he kicked Cowie out for messing up the first attempt and replaced him with a girl named Guo. The location was still at Mr. Six's house. The game had been going on for about 10 minutes when a sudden scream from the girl nearly scared the souls out of the men. After turning the lights on, everyone rushed over to the girl. She grabbed Zuo Yang by the collar, shouting uncontrollably, "I want to leave! I want to leave!" The group could tell from her demeanor that this wasn't an act. They quickly helped her leave Mr. Six's house, but on the way, she continued to cry and collapsed on the ground, unable to get back up. Eventually, they had no choice but to take her to the hospital. When the doctor asked what happened, the young men couldn't explain that it was caused by a spirit game, so they simply said she was probably scared. The doctor gave the girl a sedative. Afterward, the girl revealed that during the game, she had seen someone appear in the corner where the first person had walked. Normally, that corner should have been empty. The girl wasn't sure whether it was her imagination or an illusion. Zuo Yang stated that although he wasn't an atheist, he didn't particularly believe in spirit games. But regardless of whether it was real or not, he warned everyone not to play these games. Since the four-corner game, the time intervals between Zuo Yang logins became longer. The results of the promise summoning game were never posted, and he stopped replying to comments. On June 22, 2005, Zuo Yang suddenly appeared on the forum again and left this message. "It's been a long time since I've logged in, and I'm truly sorry. I encountered some troubles recently, but I won't go into details. Anyway, this has probably been the most painful period of my life. However, I don't think it has anything to do with the games I played. After all, a game is just a game. It doesn't change a person's luck or destiny." After Zuo Yang's last login, he disappeared for many years. With Zuo Yang's disappearance, various speculations flooded in. Some said he had really encountered something sinister and met with misfortune, while others claimed that Zuo Yang was just creating hype. But no matter what, the popularity of the post only increased, and everyone was guessing why Zuo Yang had disappeared. Over 3 years later, on October 25, 2008, Zuo Yang logged in once again, and for the last time. What he said next sparked the climax of the Zuo Yang incident. He said, "It's been over 3 years and 8 months since I first posted this. The reason I haven't logged in for so long is because I developed a deep fear of this ID. But after all these years, I want to put an end to this post. If anyone still asks me, did you really do what you wrote about back then? My answer is yes, I did, and I paid a painful price for my ignorance back then. That price was a long period of fear and despair deep in my heart, a feeling that also affected my family. My family once had a small but steadily growing company and a modest fortune. But in the end, we lost everything. I can say that life has just begun to improve, and perhaps I should be grateful for that." He ended by warning everyone, "You may choose to never believe in gods or spirits, but never disrespect or mock them." In this message, Zuo Yang completely abandoned the humor and carefree attitude he had when he first posted, adopting a tone of regret. This sharp contrast led many to believe in the authenticity of the Zuo Yang incident. After this post, the event became known as the infamous Zuo Yang incident in internet lore. In 2012, an ID called Zuo Yang Friend posted on the Tianyao forum, adding some follow-up details to the Zuo Yang incident. Zuo Yang Friend mentioned that he had noticed a crescent-shaped scar on Zuo Yang's left wrist, clearly caused by a fingernail. When he asked Zuo Yang about it, Zuo Yang explained that during 2005 and 2006, he seemed to have experienced mental issues where he would suddenly become unable to see or hear anything. Zuo Yang clarified that not being able to see didn't mean everything went dark like being blind. He shared a particular experience where, one time, when crossing the street, there were no cars or people, and everything was eerily quiet. Without thinking, he just walked to the other side of the street. At that moment, a middle-aged woman suddenly grabbed him forcefully, and a car nearly brushed past him. Only then did he realize that the street, with cars and people, along with the usual noise, all appeared suddenly. The woman who had grabbed him believed he was attempting suicide and had called the police. The crescent-shaped scar on his wrist was caused by the woman's fingernail as she pulled him. Later, Zuo Yang family's company mysteriously began to decline. Many orders were canceled, or transactions couldn't be completed for various reasons. The whole family was left in a state of frustration. After posting a few updates, the ID, Zuo Yang friend, also disappeared without a trace. As time passed, more and more people online began impersonating Zuo Yang, fueling further confusion and speculation about the authenticity of the events surrounding him. In 2015, the Zuo Yang incident was even adapted into a movie titled The Terrible Life. The story continued to captivate many, but it wasn't until the end of 2017 that a mysterious user named Yokai posted an update on the Tianyao forum titled 10 Years Later, the final explanation of the Zuo Yang incident. Many forum users, upon reading the post, believed that the writing style and tone closely matched that of Zuo Yang, making it the most plausible post from Zuo Yang himself in many years. In the post, Yokai never claimed to be Zuo Yang. He simply mentioned that Zuo Yang was doing well, had worked on his inner peace, and was supporting his family. He expressed gratitude for the attention and blessings from online users over the past decade. He also stated that all the well-argued claims of being Zuo Yang online were pure fiction. The only genuine post from someone claiming to be Zuo Yang friend was one single thread. I speculate that this is the post from the ID Zuo Yang friend that I just shared with you. Yokai mentioned that the games from back then were real, but when Zuo Yang posted about them, he had a humorous tone and exaggerated certain details. The girl in the Four Corners game was fine in reality. She was simply a timid person. Afterward, the friends who participated in the games gradually distanced themselves for reasons unknown. As for the rumors of Zuo Yang's disappearance, he didn't actually disappear. He simply didn't know how to face the situation or how to update the post. In the 3 years following the games, he experienced hallucinations and mental health issues and underwent medication treatment. His relationships deteriorated, and his family faced numerous hardships, including car accidents and more. His return now was to provide closure to the Zuo Yang incident. He also wanted to warn young people and students not to imitate these games. Even if the games themselves are not dangerous, the psychological impact can be harmful. From the tone of the post, it's clear that Zuo Yang later turned to Buddhism, which helped him emerge from the mental fog. The post ends with a plea to avoid dangerous imitations, emphasizing that children's health and safety are more important than anything else. And with that, the entire Zuo Yang incident has been shared. If you ask me for my opinion on the event, I believe that while you may choose not to believe in urban legends, don't mess with urban legends. The limit of science is mysticism, but the limit of mysticism is oneself. Whether you believe or not is entirely up to the individual. If you enjoy my channel, please help by hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you won't miss my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching until the end, and I'll see you next time.